What's poppin', everyone? You got your coach of the Chim Chargers here today with our week 1 battle of the APA season 5, and very excited to show you guys some Ultra Sun and Moon draft, bring out the first of the drafts out of the 3 in this season. If you haven't seen my draft analysis, be sure to check that out, and my team for this week, the team analysis from yesterday. Gives you guys some good insight of the Pokemon that I have, the squad that I'm bringing, all that kind of stuff. If you want to check that out, feel free to. But yeah, we're going to be taking on Mewtwo Fanate, coach of the New York Noibats, and his team here. As you can see, he's bringing a Regirock, Crobat, Wigglytuff, Klefki, Zygarde 50, and a Mega Houndoom, his Mega Pokemon, of course. Kind of what I expected. I definitely am a little surprised he didn't bring Manaphy. He did have Manaphy on his team. He didn't bring that, so I mean, it's pretty good for me. I don't have to deal with that Pokemon. Really surprised he brought the Wigglytuff, because that Pokemon I did not expect to show up when I have a Jirachi, but that's also cool. And Regirock was a Pokemon that I was kind of on the fence about, but he did end up bringing it, so that's interesting. We gotta watch out for that thing, because it could be a little bit of a threat if he's some kind of cursed Regirock, or something that we have to watch out for. But I think the biggest threats on his team are going to be that Zygarde 50 and Mega Houndoom. If we can effectively paralyze those with Glare and things like that, like we have Glare on Heliolisk, we have Body Slam and Jirachi. If we can paralyze those, then it will kind of neuter them as threats, and we will have a much easier time of dealing with them. So my goal going into this match, of course, was to try to paralyze as many things as I can with Heliolisk Glare, and just take out his biggest threats, which are the Mega Houndoom and the Zygarde 50. Because if we take those Pokemon out, Regirock, Crobat, Wigglytuff, and Klefki will have a very, very difficult time of punching holes through our team, breaking through our team. They won't really be able to do that, because it seems from the look of it that they play a more defensive role on this team, and that maybe Zygarde 50 and Houndoom and Mega Houndoom are his offensive mons. So if we get rid of those mons, or if we neuter them effectively, then our job will be a lot easier to take down the rest of his team in due time. So my lead matchup, or my lead plan going into this match, was to try to get that Mega Evolution off as soon as possible, so that he cannot go for Prankster Spikes with Klefki or Rocks with Regirock. I do have Protect on that Mega DNC, so I figured that would be my best lead. Get off the early Mega Evolution, and I can still play around. There's no drawback. I don't get damaged, and I get off an early Mega, so I figured that would be my best lead, and just sort of go from there and see how the match turns out. So let's just go ahead and start this game, and I'll show you guys what exactly went down in this match, and we can just begin right now. And as you can see here, Mewtwo Fanate decides to challenge me. This may or may not be his first mistake, as you all know. So he does lead off with the Regirock. Okay, so I lead off with the DNC. He might have wanted to try to get off those early rocks. However, I can just go for the Mega Evolution and prevent that from happening here by going for Protect. So he would probably, unless he expected to switch from my part, would not click rocks on turn 2. He actually goes for an Iron Head here, so I decide that I am going to switch out of my Mega DNC, go into my Flying Gem known as Gliscor. If you guys remember Flying Gem from Black and White, you know the reference. So as you can see, I get that Toxic Orb off, which is really nice. As he switches out into Crobat while I switch out, he goes for the Nasty Plot here. I kind of expected something like that, so I didn't want to Protect to scout and see what he wants to do. So he actually is a Nasty Plot Crobat. I have used that before in OU. Watch that Showdown live if you haven't. But yeah, I'm gonna go here into my Kyurem, as it is an Assault Vest set with a lot of bulk investment. So a +2 Heat Wave literally does, like, I don't know, maybe less than 25%, which is pretty cool. He goes for the Roost here. I'm not really too sure why, because I just get off a huge chunk of damage with Ice Beam. Maybe he just didn't want to take it super effectively, but he still ended up with taking more damage than before. I think he should have switched out into something like Wigglytuff or Klefki. But as you can see, he switches out to Wigglytuff now after damaging Crobat a bit. It didn't take much damage at all, so that thing is definitely really, like, I guess, especially bulky, I would say. He goes for the Wish, so this thing, kind of fat, kind of bulky. I'm just going for Ice Beams here just to kind of scout for what set he is. I don't want to switch in to something and kind of get blown back by a hit or something like that. And I have Emvee, so I can take hits really well with Kyurem. So I'm not really too worried at this point in time. I can kind of just stay in and sort of feel out his Wigglytuff a bit. And now I can switch out and go into my Mega DNC just in case he has Stealth Rocks on it, and maybe not on Regirock, because I did see Iron Head on Regirock, so I wasn't sure if it was AV or not. But he actually goes for the Dazzling Gleam here. And I'm like, okay, so maybe this thing doesn't have rocks. It could be Wish Protect with Dazzling Gleam and another coverage move, perhaps. So I'm actually going to get up my rocks here, take this opportunity to get up my rocks, chip down his team, which will be really nice versus stuff like the Mega Houndoom, for instance, since a lot of my calcs involve Kyurem knocking out Houndoom after rocks. So he actually goes for the Magnet Rise here as I go into my Gliscor, and gets up his Spikes. So at this point in time, I'm actually going to Ice Fang a couple times, you know, and just to kind of see what other moves he has. He's just going for Spikes here. I'm not really trying to freeze it or anything. I'm just sort of trying to make sure that his Magnet Rise wears off and then maybe try to switch out after that. But now I go for the Defog, expecting his third layer to go up so I could just get rid of all of his spikes. I don't really know why he was spiking up against the Defogger in the first place, but maybe he just didn't know I had it. But he goes for the Flash Cannon. I eat that up pretty well. Poison Heal heals me up a bit. And then go for the Protect here just to kind of see what he's going to do again. And he clicks Flash Cannon once more. So I think at this point in time, yeah, the Electromagnetism wore off. Magnet Rise has worn off here. So I expect him to go for it again. And this time I do switch out here into my Heliolisk as he switches out into his Crobat, which is pretty good for me. I expect him to want to switch out here into something like Zygarde or maybe Zygarde or something else, I'm not sure, but he actually ends up going to Wigglytuff, which makes sense because it's really specially bulky, can take any hit from Heliolisk anyways. I go for the sub, even though I know that Crobat has Infiltrator, because I figured that he'd switch out anyways. Now is the perfect opportunity for Heliolisk to start clicking that Glare and paralyzing different things. I'm going to paralyze the Wigglytuff as the first victim of my Glare, and he goes for the Wish. I'm behind the sub, so it's pretty safe for me just to click Thunderbolt and try to test my luck a little bit, see if he gets parried along the way anywhere. But he's just going to go for that Dazzling Gleam, which is fine, not a problem here. So he's going to break my sub with the Dazzling Gleam, get off the Wish, and he'll be able to heal himself while I can also kind of heal myself a little bit with that leftovers. And now I just decided to switch out because I figured that if he gets parried here and stays in, then Jirachi would be amazing to have in right now at this time. But he does get off the Wish. I'm going to predict his switch out here into the Mega Houndoom. I'm going to read that, go right for the Body Slam on the paralyzed Wigglytuff as he switches out, hits the Houndoom, and gets that paralysis that I wanted really badly on that thing, because now everything is faster than Mega Houndoom. It's no longer really much of a threat anymore. So that's amazing. I got that nice 60% there. Go into my Kyurem, which will be able to take any hit from Mega Houndoom because of the fact that it's AV. I EV'd it in order for me to deal with stuff like Mega Houndoom and Manaphy if he brought that. But he's going to get off a Dark Pulse. I eat that up really well. It does about 15 and 20%. And I can get off an Earth Power on this next turn as he does decide to stay in. Not really caring much about Houndoom, I guess, anymore because of it being parried now. He gets off a Flame Charge, gets that nice little speed boost, and is faster than me because I don't have any really speed. I don't really have any speed. Not really fast. But I take the Fire Blast on the next turn and knock it off. So as you can see, Kyurem took a +2 Heat Wave from Crobat. It took a Dark Pulse, a Flame Charge, and a Fire Blast from Mega Houndoom. So that's kind of crazy. Got a lot of bulk there. But I'm going to decide to save my Kyurem, not get rid of it right now. Go into my Jirachi once again as he gets off the Wish. And I just decided to go for the Iron Head here to damage whatever comes in. He brings in Klefki, so actually he reveals to have a Citrus Berry on this Klefki, so that's pretty interesting. Got the nice Chinese berry. They use Citrus Berry a lot and stuff, but yeah, I'm gonna switch out here into my Heliolisk. As I mean, the Wish heals him up a little bit after that Citrus Berry. Nothing really to worry about because I know for a fact that Heliolisk can actually wall Klefki because he probably has like Spikes, T-Wave, and stuff he just revealed. So I'm gonna get off the nice sub on this on the Klefki as he switches out to Wigglytuff, right? Back behind the sub again, and this Heliolisk is really annoying for him because he can only afford to stay in with Wigglytuff, because if he switches out into anything else, I just glare everything basically. He gets parried here. I've just decided to test my luck a little bit, spam Thunderbolt a couple times, just sort of I guess lure him into that nice little false sense of security that he's safe with Wigglytuff if he gets off Wishes and whatnot, but I don't really lose anything. At this point, I'm behind the sub, and really what I want to do is try to I guess get him into this pattern where he'll be wishing and protecting or just trying to break my sub with Dazzling Gleam as I keep subbing. And what I'm trying to do right now is wait for the perfect opportunity once my sub is broken, of course, to click Thunderbolt on his I guess Dazzling Gleam, or I didn't click Thunderbolt on his Wish and then switch out if he stays in, because then he won't have a fresh Wish to go into something else basically. So I'm gonna go for the sub here. once again just to see if he gets parried, but he goes for the wish, and I guess like here I'll just Thunderbolt again, and he'll probably just Dazzling Gleam to break my sub. So at this point, like I don't really lose anything by this, and he will sort of just keep going for that Dazzling Gleam, trying to get some health back. I'm just trying to test my luck at this point, just to get Heliolisk more screen time, because that is kind of the mon I really wanted to shine in this match here. So wanted him to kind of face that lizard a bit longer, you know. But that Wigglytuff is so fat. Like, he brought a fat Wigglytuff. So that's really annoying. So this time right here, as you can see, I go for the Thunderbolt. He goes for the Wish, right? And now this is where I decide to start making the plays, right? I'm going to start making these plays, these power predictions. Go right here into my Jirachi, I believe is what I do. And yep, give me fortune is what I'm asking. Give me some fortune. Yep, there's the paralysis right there. Jirachi gave me that fortune. It doesn't really matter anyways, because I think he was just going to click Dazzling Gleam regardless. But he switches out here into Klefki now, because I know the correct pattern to do now. I basically switch out here on after the wish is already active into like Jirachi or something, because after that then he can't really heal up any of his other mons. I switch back out into Heliolisk. He goes into Crobat. So here's the thing, right? I went for sub last time. He decides to go for Roost, and I just decide to go ahead, put a nice little glare on this thing too. So we got a nice Crobat paralyzed as well, which is amazing. You know, that thing is no longer fast anymore. The fastest thing on his team, bar any kind of Choice Scarfer, not anymore. He's gonna go back into Wigglytuff now. Not really sure why he didn't do that before, because I could have just the glare wouldn't have worked because he was already paralyzed. But yeah, so I get to get off another Thunderbolt there. We're gonna do the same thing, right? We're gonna do the same thing, not sub again, but just click that regular Thunderbolt here. But this time, instead of going for the wish, he goes into Zygarde. So he, like, this thing, if we get this thing paralyzed, we basically win the game. That secures us the win, because everything else, like, we outrun the rest of his team with all of our other mons. We get it paralyzed with the glare, full parrot. Okay, I'm like, okay, I don't really care much about Heliolisk anymore. Let me just get some big damage off with the HP Ice. Paralyzed again. And that's pretty crazy. So now I'm like, okay, Zygarde is gone. Like, Zygarde, goodbye guard. Goodbye guard. Gonna get off the HP Ice, and Heliolisk takes out the Zygarde. Big Heliolisk takes out Big Snake, Big Lizard. Alright, Big Lizard. Goes into Wigglytuff, right? Goes into Wigglytuff. Back again. I mean, this thing is just fat, sitting there, wishing. Basically the only thing that's sort of keeping the rest of his members intact, sort of. I go with Thunderbolt, he goes for the Wish, and I'm like, okay, it's my opportunity, of course. He can either protect or switch out. If he switches out, Wigglytuff is going to be weakened at this point. And he, of course, I think decides to stay in. Go for the protect, failed, of course I switched out. And I'm in with Jirachi. He can't switch out to anything, I guess, because it would just take damage and not get healed up. He stays in. I go for the Iron Head here. Breaks through the 60% flinch and the paralysis. He breaks through, gets off the wish, which is pretty cool. Does get that off there. And he is going to switch out here. But Wigglytuff, however, keep in mind now, Wigglytuff is not healthy. Not healthy at all, which means that something like Heliolisk can just click Thunderbolt with no drawback. He gets off, I got off the Iron Head, he gets into Klefki and heals it up. I'm going to go back into Heliolisk here, because this thing can't really deal with me anymore. I could have started making some predictions on the spikes of the T-Waves and stuff and gone into Diancie, but didn't think it was worth it in case he clicked Flash Cannon. Didn't want to just lose him on like that. But he's going to go Regirock here. I'm going to get off a Thunderbolt. As you can see, it does some decent damage. Pretty decent damage. So this thing is definitely probably not specially defensive. So I'm going to switch out here back into my Gliscor. As you can see, he got off a Spike and he got off his Stealth Rocks. Felt kind of bad, because I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of those real quick with my Gliscor. And he's going to switch out here into his Crobat, which is paralyzed, of course. I'm going to get off the Defog, and I'm like, okay, what's the best sort of neutral switch in for me to take any hit? I have a Gyarados there. I'm going to go ahead and switch into that, which can take any hit and just Z-move this thing right back for a lot of damage. Going to get off that Intimidate. GG is Doze. And he actually goes for the Z-move. I'm like, okay, interesting. What kind of Z-move is this? Let's go ahead and see what kind of Z-move he has here. Inferno Overdrive. I was like, okay, how much is Gyarados going to take from that, I wonder? And yeah, it takes about 2%. It doesn't take much damage at all. So I decided, you know what? Let me go ahead here, get off that Dragon Dance. get off a nice Dragon Dance, and he gets paralyzed here, which probably didn't matter because Gyarados is bulky anyways. Crobat's kind of weak without a nasty plot or two. And I was like, let me go ahead and show you my Z move real quick, and let's see how much that's going to do to Crobat at +1. You know, +1 Supersonic Sky Strike. Go ahead and leap into the sky. Rain from above, and Crobat's gone. So that's another Mon down. So basically, like, his biggest threats being the Zygarde, Mega Houndoom, and I guess the Nasty Plot Crobat. They're all gone. I could have gone into Gliscor here to preserve the 6-0, but at this point, like, I didn't want it. Like, I didn't want to do it to my man. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it to him. But he does have the Pasho Berry. I just stayed in. I could have played it safe, gotten Gliscor, but it's all good. I go into it now, though. I mean, the difference between a 5-0 and a 6-0 doesn't really matter. At least for, I guess for me. Doesn't really matter to me. Probably won't come into play, but I get off an Earthquake, he gets up Rocks, and I just decide to pick this thing off with an Earthquake. Pasho, I guess, was good on his part because it didn't make that thing sort of an answer to Gyarados, which is interesting, but yeah, I guess other than that, he couldn't really deal with the Gliscor. So he's going to go for the Magnet Rise, I guess expecting an Earthquake here, while I'm just going to Defog, get rid of the Rocks, and you already know what we are going to end this this battle off with, right? We're going back into our Lizard here. We're going back into Heliolisk. This has been, like, Helio has been the MVP in this game for sure. It's been the MVP for sure. He gets up a Flash Cannon, doesn't do much damage. I think the leftovers are really nice on it too because it kept it healthy. It kept it kind of healing constantly. He makes the switch into Wigglytuff, maybe expecting me to sub, and perhaps him getting off a Wish and I guess stalling me out a bit, but went for the correct play here, which puts him in range of another Thunderbolt in order for us to knock out Wigglytuff finally. That thing was annoying, definitely, for sure. Probably gave the most sort of trouble. Like, I didn't expect it to come at all because of Jirachi, but it definitely lasted a while just because of how bulky it was. But thankfully we got rid of that. Last Pokemon gonna be that Klefki, and Klefki, of course, his best attack is Flash Cannon. And the leftovers showing us why Heliolisk with leftovers, Sub Glare, it kept it alive, it kept everything paralyzed. That was really amazing for one of the lower tier mons that we brought to put in the most work in this battle. We're gonna be taking it out once with one more Thunderbolt, and that's gonna be GG. It is Emvee for week 1 of the APA. So thank you everybody for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Good game to Nate, of course, and be sure to check him out as well, since he'll be uploading his side of the game too. A very cool dude. And yeah, that's gonna be it. So I'm really glad with our result for week 1, and our team put in so much work too. Like, Heliolisk Glare, that actually put, like, I was thinking, right, about bringing either like a Choice Scarf Mon or just using speed control with Paralysis, and I just decided to go with that because a Scarfer, I feel like, versus his team, it can revenge knock out something, but then something else could come in and set up. That'd be like really annoying for my team. I figured just paralyzing everything would just work, and it did. And like I think it was a really effective way of showing some of the potential that our team has overall, and it's always exciting to see one of the lower tier mons put in work. I'll see you all on the next video, which is going to be my GBA match week 1 going up tomorrow as well. So hope you all are excited for that, and or will be entertained by it, I hope. So that's gonna be it. I'll see you all on that video. Peace.